is a realistic video of all of the equipment and resources I actually needed for sixth form. I'm going to start with a bag tour of what I took day to day. I had a really basic black backpack. That is because I cycle to school fairly often and use my bike. Obviously, if you go to a sixth form where you have to have a smart casual dress code, you might want a nicer bag. For me, this worked just about fine. I also just had a pretty basic water bottle and gum, and I had a pretty basic pencil case. Now, in my pencil case, I found that there were 5 key pens that I actually needed in sixth form. Firstly, a pencil. That's because I did maths and biology, so I had to draw diagrams. Secondly, this is my favourite black pen. I genuinely think, since about year 9, I've been through hundreds of these, because this is the only pen I've used since year 9. I just really like them. The third one is this type of pen. These are great for diagrams, writing like step by step just for colour coding. Super basic, they're so cheap. All these pens are so cheap. So these are the ones I used a lot. Fourthly, a whiteboard pen. Especially in year 13, I used the sixth form whiteboard so much to do so much blurting in my free periods. Would highly recommend having a whiteboard pen. And the fifth pen you need is at least one highlighter. I'm a slight control freak, so I had 6 highlighters, one which colour coordinated to each of my 6 subjects. Obviously you don't need to do that, I just like doing that so I could colour code my revision resources, but you really only need one good highlighter. Side note, obviously I did maths, so I needed a graphing calculator. Oh my gosh, I've not turned this on since my exams. It says exit examination mode. That's crazy. Anyways, this was my calculator that I used. I also took in a GCSE one just because at the start of year 12 I couldn't really work this very well. So having a GCSE one for basic calculations was really useful. And then obviously any other maths equipment that you need, you'll need to take that as well. In terms of technology, this is the laptop that I used for sixth form. It is a MacBook Air and it is a 2018 one, so it's not really new. You do not need a MacBook, you do not need an iPad. If I had had an iPad, yes, of course, I would have used it to make my notes, but you don't need one. What I will say is that I do think it would have been really difficult for me personally to do my sixth form without having a laptop of some sort. Obviously, if this is a problem for you, I'm pretty sure that most schools will be able to offer you a device to use throughout the day. So please don't worry about that, just get in contact with your sixth form and they should be able to help you. So I made pretty much all of my notes throughout sixth form on OneNote, but the 2 subjects that I ended up using notebooks for were maths and biology. So when I first started sixth form, I came in with 6 of these notebooks, but I only ended up using 2 of them because all the others I just ended up doing online. The notebooks that I did, however, use were like this, and I went through so many of these in sixth form just because they are so useful. I know some people that would just make their notes in these notebooks, then rip the page out, and when they got home, they would transfer them into ring binders for each subject. Personally, I didn't do that. Maybe I wish I could. I wasn't quite that organised. I always had one of these in my bag because if I ever had a free period, I would use them for revision. They're just full of like blurting mind maps like these ones because that's how I would revise quickly in a free period if I didn't have all the resources with me.